Look, Lacombe's not trying to be flashy, but it's got a lot more going on for it than most people realize. It's got one of the most charming and historic downtowns that you are going to find anywhere. So real Edwardian buildings, one of the oldest Flatiron buildings in the country, and murals everywhere that actually tell the story of the town. It's definitely quiet and really safe, and this is kind of deceiving about Lacombe, but it's got some fantastic walking trails that wrap around the water. But even with that laid back vibe, you're still only 20 minutes from Red Deer, so everything you need is right there when you want it. Now in this video, I'm taking you on a full tour of Lacombe. We're going to talk about the homes, the lifestyle, and everything that makes this town such an underrated place to live. All right, now let's start off with where Lacombe is located. So it's kind of a common theme running as we talk about all these places that surround Red Deer. One of the biggest benefits of living in central Alberta and around the Red Deer area is that we are in such a convenient and central location. So Lacombe has about 15 or 16,000 people. It is actually classified as a city. It's a small city, but as soon as it had the ability to apply for city status, Lacombe took advantage of that. But getting back to location, we've already kind of touched on this a little bit. You're only about 20 to 25 minutes away from Red Deer. So it is a straight shot down Highway 2, a nice, easy, stress-free commute. So everything that you need, the shopping, the hospitals, the restaurants, it's all super close without having to live in the middle of it. Now, Sylvan Lake is only about 35 to 40 minutes away. So you've got easy access to the water in the summertime. This is one of the most popular lakes in central Alberta, in Alberta for that matter, without having to deal with the lake traffic every day. And if you need to hit up a bigger city, you are in a great spot. It's about an hour and 15 minutes to Edmonton. So things like the airport, concerts, or just a day at West Edmonton Mall with the kids, no problem. Now Calgary is a little bit farther away. It's around 2 hours, but it is still a super easy drive if you have a reason to head that way. So you're not far from anything, but you still get that peace and quiet that people are looking for when they move to a smaller city like this, and that's what it's all about. All right, let's talk about the lifestyle and the vibe in Lacombe. Now, Lacombe isn't really the kind of place that shouts for attention, but if you slow down long enough to look around, it really starts to win you over. Now let's start with the downtown. This is one of my favorite things about Lacombe. So if you like that old school charm, this place delivers. You've got this old historic Edwardian architecture that's actually been preserved. It's not bulldozed and replaced with a strip mall. And it gives the whole area a cool, almost movie set kind of vibe. Now, one of the oldest Flatiron buildings in Canada anchors the strip. This was built back in 1904. I believe it's the second oldest in the entire country. And then the side streets are full of heritage buildings that make you feel like you step back in time, but in a good way. And then there are the murals, not the random art student on Red Bull kind of murals. These are legit. So Lacombe is known as Alberta's mural capital for a reason. You'll find over, I think it's 40 massive murals painted across the entire historic downtown, and they actually tell the story of Lacombe. So every mural is based on real photos from the early days of the town. It's basically a walking history lesson, but way more Instagram worthy. Now, lifestyle wise, Lacombe has that classic small town Alberta vibe. So things move just a little bit slower. It's calm, it's welcoming, and it's the kind of place where people actually make eye contact still and say hi, which is really nice.
What are you looking at?
No, it's not like that.
And once you settle into that rhythm, it's kind of hard to imagine it any other way. Now, if you're into outdoors and nature, Lacombe's beauty, it kind of sneaks up on you. So you've got these beautiful trails that wind around ponds, through treed areas and into parks. They almost make you forget that you're still in town. So you'll be walking along thinking, man, this place is really peaceful and quiet, and then you realize that, hey, Starbucks is only 5 minutes away. Now, just north of town, you've got the J.J. Collette Nature Center. So this is a hidden gem. It's 18 kilometers of trails through open meadows, forested areas, and it even has some cool like sand dune terrain to it. This is a legit nature center that somehow still feels totally under the radar. Did I say radar? I meant radar. And I'm not gonna lie, I built an acreage just north of Lacombe, kind of in Pinoka County, and I live only a few minutes away from the J.J. Collette Nature Center, and I had no idea it was there until a buddy on the fire department told me about it. So this is a beautiful area that not a lot of people know about. Now, Lacombe is also part of the Trans-Canada Trail. So this is the longest multi-use trail system on the entire planet. It literally stretches across the entire country from coast to coast. And yes, a piece of it actually runs right through Lacombe. And yes, Lacombe also has the world's largest fishing lure. Now, I don't really know what to say about that, but it exists. It's kind of cool, actually. I mean, Vegreville has the largest Easter egg in the world. Why can't Lacombe have the largest fishing lure in the world? Although I do think the Easter egg is just a little bit cooler. But what's also really cool is that the world's largest fishing lure also sits right next to the Len Thompson Trout Pond. This is a stocked retention pond, so it's catch and release. You can't eat them, unfortunately. but this is a really cool way to enjoy a really hot today. Like today is Canada Day, it's July 1st, it's nothing but sun, and there is a ton of families out back here fishing. Really cool to see. And as always, if you guys have any questions or need any help figuring out what the move looks like for you moving to Central Alberta, I am a realtor in the area, so use this info popping up. Get a hold of me any way you like, phone, text, or email. We'd love to hear from you. All right, now let's kind of talk about the real estate market here in Lacombe. So out of all the popular towns around Red Deer, right now Lacombe is actually going to be one of the more affordable. So the median detached price right now is sitting at around $445,000. Now that puts it below a lot of the competition. Now if we make some comparisons here, I know Red Deer obviously isn't going to be an apples to apples comparison, but it's all in the same area. So Red Deer is sitting at $450,000 for the median detached price, with over 530 sales so far this year. Now Black Falls is sitting at $452,000 with 120 sales. And then we have Sylvan Lake kind of topping the list. It came in at $491,000 with 142 sales so far this year. Now, right now in the detached market in 2025, Lacombe has had 93 sales this year. Now that low activity really tells you something. Towns like Red Deer, Black Falls, and Sylvan Lake, they're just a little bit more active. More homes are hitting the market and turning over a lot faster. Now Lacombe's a little bit different. So fewer listings come up. Things are moving maybe a little bit slower overall compared to those other ones that we just talked about. It's not that it's not competitive, there's just less to choose from here. So right now, Lacombe is sitting at 1.6 months of inventory, which is well into seller's market territory. Now, all this to say that when a good home hits the market, it doesn't usually last too long, but again, it's a little bit less stressful out here. You don't have to be panic buying, but you definitely need to be paying attention and you need to be ready to go. All right, now let's pull up the map and take a closer look at Lacombe. I'll walk you through how the town is laid out and we'll kind of highlight a few areas. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to pull up some drone footage and we're going to pause and stop and I'm gonna point some things out. We'll talk about some of the better areas to live and definitely where things are located and some of the things that you should be aware of if you're thinking of moving to Lacombe. This is definitely gonna help everything click, so make sure you don't miss it. All right, now that we've hopped over to the map, let's kind of break down the layout of Lacombe, and we'll talk about some things to be aware of, and we'll talk about some cool places to live. So let's kind of get into it again here. Now, I know we've kind of talked about this stuff a little bit already, but if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that we're just a straight shot up Highway 2 from Red Deer. So Lacombe's only about 20 to 25 minutes away, so super easy trip. Lots of people who work in Red Deer actually live in Lacombe. And then again, we're only about, 35 to 45 minutes away from Sylvan Lake. So one of the most popular lakes in the province. And then again, just to touch on it again, we have Lacombe here, and then we are not far from Edmonton. So straight shot up Highway 2. Now, some of the nice things about Edmonton is that, lots of people are heading up to Edmonton because they want to go to like IKEA or something like that. So IKEA is actually just in South Point Common right here. So you barely even have to go into the city. It's on the very southern tip of Edmonton. So nice quick trip to IKEA. And then the airport is right here. It's actually in like a little hamlet called Nisku. So that's about 15 minutes or so out of the south end of Edmonton. So really easy trip if you want to catch a plane. Now let's get back into Lacombe. Now, if I just grab my little markup tool, we can see again, this is the big number Highway 2 that runs north to south in Alberta. We exit off Highway 2 coming into Lacombe on Highway 12. And this is a really cool little street here. And I'm going to show you guys some drone footage here in a little bit. But then we have Highway 2A that kind of almost divides Lacombe into east and west. And let me just get that off the screen there. So this is going to take you up to Edmonton/Pinoka. And then if you follow Highway 2A south, this is going to take you all the way through Black Falls and then into the north end of Red Deer. So let's pop up some drone footage and kind of show you what that looks like. So if we kind of just let this drone footage play, you can see Highway 2A running right here. So again, this will take you up towards Edmonton. And then if you just head south this way, that's going to take you back into Black Falls. Now, again, we talked about how Highway 2A kind of divides Lacombe into east and west. So on the east side of Highway 2A, you got pretty much all industrial. Other than some new construction going on out here in Metcalf Ridge. And then there's some stuff back here, which I'll show you some drone footage of. But all along the east side, we have industrial parks. And then we have kind of the downtown core here. And then let's see if we zoom around a little bit. All on the far side or the west side here, we get into all residential here. So sorry, I didn't pan my drone properly there. So this is what I was talking about. This is where we exit off of Highway 2. So the big highway's running right here. This is Highway 12. So this is a really cool street. Lots of character homes, historic homes along here. And something I want you guys to notice is just how beautiful Lacombe is. So you can see, look at all of these tree-lined streets. They are everywhere. Lacombe is a very beautiful small city. It's very, very surprising. It catches people off guard. Now, if we let this play forward a little bit here, so we got we're going to bring this up a little bit later in the video. I'm just going to speed through a little bit here. This is the Lacombe Hospital. So Lacombe does have its own hospital. We will talk about that. And then again, this is Highway 2A heading down into Red Deer. Now, I would suggest that if we are heading into Red Deer, Highway 2A can get busy, especially before work and after work. So if you're heading downtown or you want to go to Costco or something in Red Deer, hop on Highway 2. Now let's hop back over to the map and I'll show you where Costco is in Red Deer. It's a really easy trip. So if we pop out a little bit here, again, we take Highway 2. Instead of Highway 2A, this will take you into the north side of Red Deer. We take Highway 2 down to, and the nice thing about Costco is it's not actually in the city of Red Deer, it's in the county, so on Gasoline Alley. So this section down here, so you can see Costco is right in this area. So really quick trip. I mean, I think you could probably be from Lacombe to Costco and Red Deer in about 25 minutes. Now, in my opinion, there isn't really any bad areas to live in Lacombe. It's not like there's a huge homeless population here or there's some really bad neighborhoods. They're all really good. Some things to be aware of though, and I'll just grab my little markup tool here. So just like everywhere, I mean, who doesn't have a train? But there is a train that runs just along the east side of Highway 2A. And that's going to go all the way down into Blackfall. It's a little bit of a squiggly line there. Now, I was getting my beard trimmed at the Red Steak Barber, which is right in this area here. And I asked the lady, so the train went by and it was actually quite loud. And I asked the lady how often that came by during the day. And she said probably every 20 to 30 minutes. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be the same as the nighttime, but something to be aware of if you do not enjoy, the noise of the train. Now, the only other thing that I would be aware of in Lacombe is that there is a regional airport here. So if we zoom in a little bit right here, so we got the Lacombe Regional Airport. It's kind of all in this section right here. So let's hop over to some drone footage so I can give you guys a little bit better of a perspective of what that looks like. Okay, now we're on the north end of the city. So we'll just pause it for a second here. There's lots of new construction going on up here. We have new neighborhoods like Henner's Landing and Trinity Crossing. But if we just let this play forward a little bit, again, this is a great area of the city to live in. You got some cool walking trails around these storm ponds. If we just let her come around here. So this is the airport over here. So all kind of in this area. I mean, it's not obnoxiously loud. I'm just going to pause it here for a second. It's small aircraft. It's not super busy, but it is definitely something to be aware of if you are looking at living on this north side of the city. So you will have aircraft flying throughout here throughout the daytime. Now let's hop over to the southeast corner of the city. This is something I kind of want to show you guys. So again, we have Metcalf Ridge out here. There's a lot of new construction going out here. This is Mackenzie Ranch. So we have a mobile home park here just on the south side. And if we let this play through, like this is a newer area. You got some nice walking trails along this man-made pond. You have some beautiful acreages all along here with these mature trees. I love this area. But something I want to point out is that we do have the industrial park here again. So remember, everything on the east side of 2A is mainly going to be industrial other than Mackenzie Ranch, Metcalf Ridge. And then if we just speed this up a little bit again, hopefully nobody's getting dizzy. Oh, a little bit more, sorry. This is totally unedited, guys. I didn't edit any of this, so you're gonna see my jerky drone movements. But we have the Iron Wolf neighborhood here as well. So again, all industrial right here. So it's kind of weird in my opinion. You gotta come almost through the industrial park to get over to this area. And then this is right along the southern border, or you gotta come around it. So when I was over here getting footage for this, and I'll just let this play through so you can listen to me ramble, it wasn't like anything crazy, but you could get some noise coming from some of the businesses in here. Now, this is a great area to live in. It's super quiet. It's really nice. Just, some people might not like having to come through that industrial park or being close to it. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, now let's kind of talk about, living downtown. So many times when I'm setting people up on searches, even in the smaller towns, I leave the downtown core out. Just because, not that it's bad or there's lots of crime, maybe in the bigger cities, it can definitely be that way. But sometimes they're just not cozy. They don't really have a homey feel, and they're just, I don't know, they're just not somewhere that a lot of people actually want to live. But Lacombe is 1000%, the downtown of Lacombe is a great place to live. So it's kind of in this core here, and all along Highway 2A, this is where you're gonna find a lot of the shopping and stuff other than in downtown. So you got, you know, Sobeys and No Frills and the Co-op and everything all along here, Starbucks. But let's pull up some drone footage of downtown and we're gonna kind of talk about it a little bit. I absolutely love Lacombe's downtown. All right, now this is a great shot of Lacombe's downtown. So let's just kind of let this play through. We talked about the historic award-winning downtown. So this is the Flatiron building that I always talk about on this channel. The second oldest one in Canada. I believe it was built in 1904. And then you have all these beautiful Edwardian architecture that kind of surrounds it. Now, if we just kind of fast forward just a little bit here, there's a street right here. This strip is really cool, so I'm just gonna pause it. Lacombe's downtown is super walkable, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the video again, but there's so many cool like coffee shops and cafes to go to, and just a really cool place. So we got Ona's Cafe down here. Let's go forward just a little bit. You've got the Home Hardware right here, which is an amazing Home Hardware. Ugly's Pub is in here. You got the Broomtree Cafe, and then one of the more popular restaurants, the Cilantro and Chive. The energy and the vibe down here, it's just amazing. There's tons of people down here on nice days. Now, if we just let this play through a little bit, and later in the video, I talk about how Lacombe is kind of laid out really well. Everything is kind of conveniently located. So if we just pause it right here, this is a perfect example of it. We have a school right here. We have a school right here. We have a school right here. This is the Gary Moe Auto Sportsplex, which is the rec center for the town. And then we have the high school over here. So, sometimes maybe you have a child in elementary, you got a child in high school. Right now, that is my situation in Ponoka. And what I would have to drive in Ponoka to take my one kid to the elementary and my other kid to the high school is actually going to be a lot farther in a much smaller town compared to Lacombe. So Lacombe is definitely set up really well. And then we have like Crana Lake and all these beautiful walking trails that surround it. There's more walking trails over this way. Now, if we just speed this up a little bit, here's a good shot of the Sportsplex right here, the rec center. Now, if you are into golfing or you enjoy golf, there is a course right in town. So right here, you can see it's all along the west side. This is a great little course. Ponoka's also got a great course. I actually think Ponoka's is a little bit better, if I am being honest, but this is super convenient. Now, something I do want to point out as well too, there's this area that almost feels like it's part of the town or part of the city of Lacombe. This is called River Valley Estates. It's a bunch of acreages. It's actually in the county, but you can see it really feels like a neighborhood of Lacombe. Let me just pause it here for a second. It's right beside everything else. So if you're looking for acreage living, but you don't want to be far away from anything, you still want all the conveniences of town, this is definitely a spot you're going to keep your eye on. Homes don't come for sale here very often. It's a great spot. All right, I hope that kind of gives you a good idea of how Lacombe is laid out. Now let's hop back into the next section. All right, now let's talk about everyday life in Lacombe. We're going to look at food, fun, and kind of the essentials for living day to day. Now, living in Lacombe means you don't need to run into Red Deer every time you need groceries or you want something decent to eat. So everything's right here. There's no highway trip required. Now, grocery wise, and I might be missing a few, but these are kind of the main options. You've got Sobeys, you've got No Frills, and you've got Co-op. So all the basics covered. And then there's the Home Hardware. So seriously, this is one of the best stocked home hardwares in all of Central Alberta. It is my favorite. You're gonna find stuff here that you don't see in most locations. Now, when it comes to fitness, you've got a lot of options here. So you got the Anytime Fitness and Snap Fitness for the 24/7 crowd, but local spots like the Iron Lab, it really brings that old school, no nonsense gym energy. And if you're looking for more variety, you have the Gary Moe Sports Autoplex here, which is the rec center in Lacombe. So it's got 2 ice rinks, a pool, and in the summertime, they kind of turn it into like a giant outdoor playground. So think pickleball, floor hockey, fitness classes. It's a solid spot to stay moving without making excuses. All right, now let's talk food. Now, Lacombe's got way more variety than most people are gonna get credit for. Now, we're only scratching the surface here, so cut me some slack, but you've got the Cilantro and Chive. So this is a really popular spot in town, big flavors, it's got a really cool vibe, always packed for a reason. Then there's Lido's. Now, this has been around forever. It is still family owned, and it's just a solid all around. So good food, big plates, zero fluff, and this is my wife's absolute favorite restaurant in the whole Central Alberta area. Actually, before I left the house to make this video, she told me to make sure that I include Lido's in this video. So Lido's is a solid option. And really, I've learned not to argue anyways when it comes to her food picks.
I thought you were trying to lose weight.
Lay off me, I'm starving.
Now you've got some diverse food options. You've got the 1947 Indian restaurant if you're craving spice. They do the classic dishes really well. And Mr. Mike's just opened up for those times when you want something familiar with a bit of variety on the menu. Now, if you are looking to grab a drink, you've got a couple solid options here. So Blind Man Brewing is an outstanding brewery here in Central Alberta. It has an awesome tap room. It's laid back, it's friendly, and they're always pouring something interesting. So definitely the kind of place that you stop in for one and you end up staying for a few. And if you're after more of a classic pub feel, one of the more popular spots in town is called Ugly's Pub. This is a local staple. So good food, cold beer, and you're bound to run into somebody you know or someone who'll talk to you like they do. Now, this is one of my favorite things about Lacombe. When it comes to places like coffee shops, Lacombe, honestly, it over delivers. Now, for a smaller city, it's got more cool independent coffee shops than anywhere else around. So you have places like Taller's Bistro, the Millie Oak Cafe, the Broom Tree Cafe, Ona's Cafe and Bakery. All of them have their own thing going on. Some spots feel like you're in a living room. Others feel like a cool little city cafe. Now, they've all got great coffee. They've got cozy vibes. And these are all spots that you'll actually want to hang out in. So whether you're grabbing a quick espresso or settling in with your laptop for an hour, and if you're the Starbucks type of person, don't worry, Lacombe also has a Starbucks. And Lacombe is also home to one of Alberta's longest running farmers markets. So it's been going strong since about 1979. So you're gonna find all of the good stuff, some local produce, fresh baking, handmade goods, and a ton more. And this is actually a well-run farmers market, so it's easy to get around. And it actually feels like something you want to show up for, not just something you swing by because it's Saturday and you've got nothing else to do. Now, for something totally different, you've got the Cow Patty Comedy Dinner Theater. I've been to this before. It is a pretty fun night out, so it sounds a bit out there, but it's one of those try it once and you're hooked kind of places. The food's actually good, like way better than you'd expect, and the shows are laugh out loud funny. It's not stuffy theater either. It's casual, it's down to earth, and it's packed with local personality. You grab a drink, sit back, and before you know it, you're laughing with a room full of strangers, just like it's a family reunion. Honestly, it's one of the coolest nights that you can have in town. Now, we can't talk about Lacombe without talking about the Lacombe Corn Maze. I know I talk about it all the time on this channel, for a good reason though. The Lacombe Corn Maze, it's a summer classic, so it's just west of town, maybe 10 minutes. The maze gets a new design every single year, so even if you've been there before, it's always a fresh challenge. But honestly, the maze is just the beginning. You've got train rides, you've got pillow trampolines, you've got a petting zoo that the kids go crazy for, and the mini donuts might actually steal the whole show. So honestly, guys, if you are moving to Lacombe or anywhere in the Central Alberta area, make sure you go check out the world famous Lacombe Corn Maze. Right, now let's talk about things like schools and healthcare and other services. So now there's a good mix of public and Catholic schools in town, so covering everything from elementary up to grade 9. Now for high schools, there is one high school in town. It is a public high school and it serves the whole area. Now drop-offs are quick, and what I like about Lacombe is a lot of the schools are actually kind of located within the same vicinity. So they're all kind of close enough that you'll barely finish your podcast before you're pulling into the parking lot. Now, if you're into post-secondary, now if that's on your radar, Lacombe also has a university called Burman University. This is a Seventh-day Adventist school, and this has been around for over 100 years. Now, this school draws students from all over Canada and even internationally, which brings a really cool mix of people and different perspectives into the community. For a small city, it adds a surprising layer of diversity and energy that you wouldn't expect, and it's part of what makes Lacombe feel just a little bit more well-rounded. Now, when it comes to healthcare, Lacombe's got a full hospital. I know this is always a common question, so this is right in town. So you're not having to rush to Red Deer for every appointment. Plus, there's a good range of walk-in clinics, dentists, and physios, so everything you need to keep the wheels turning day to day. All right, now let's kind of touch on some potential cons or negatives of living in Lacombe. So we've already kind of talked about this one. Lacombe has a lot going for it, but lower property taxes definitely isn't one of them. I think Alberta has 31 cities in total, and out of those 31 cities, you're gonna find Lacombe consistently ranking in the top 5 when it comes to property taxes. So taxes did go up in 2025. I tried finding what the residential property tax rate did, but I could not find it online. But just to give you an example, use 2024's numbers. I believe the property tax rate was 1.14%. So on a $500,000 home, you'd be paying $5,577 per year. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, it's definitely something you want to factor in when you're budgeting for your move here. Now, a lot of people, they think about Lacombe and they think, oh, it's a city. They're gonna have a lot of big box stores. We're gonna have Walmart, we're gonna have Home Depot, Canadian Tire. Lacombe has actually 0 big box stores.
Hell Oh, no.
Hell yes.
So if you do need that kind of shopping, you are going to be heading into Red Deer. Now, it is a bit of a win for the smaller businesses in town. So a lot of the local businesses, you're not competing with these big box stores that have endless pockets. Without that big box competition, local shops have a little bit more breathing room, and it gives Lacombe's downtown and local stores just really a chance to shine. Now let's move on to the next con, and let's be real, Lacombe is not a party town. There's no real nightlife here, and things tend to wind down really early. So that's not a knock. It's kind of the point of moving here. Most people who are moving to Lacombe, they're looking for that quieter lifestyle. They're trading in the busy city life for something slower, a little bit calmer, and way more family friendly. But if you're someone who thrives on a packed social calendar or late nights out, this probably is not going to be your vibe. Now we could add a section to the con section. That sounded really weird.
I'm confused.
What are you talking about?
And we could talk about the weather. I mean, I think most people at this point understand what the weather is like in Alberta. We have beautiful summers like today. It is absolutely beautiful where there's a slight breeze. It's 30 degrees out. It's Canada Day, by the way. This video might be released after that, and we have blue skies. It's so sunny here almost all of the time. However, we do have cold winters, and Lacombe is no exception to that. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the weather here because we talk about it so much here, but winters are a little bit longer. We do get some really, really cold snaps, but for the most part, because of our dry climate, the winters are pretty manageable, and they range from about -5 to about -15, -20. So not too bad at all. And for the final thing to be aware of, and I know we touched on this a little bit in the map section, but on the northern side of town, there is a small regional airport, and it actually borders some neighborhoods up there. So some of the newer neighborhoods, again, like Henner's Landing and Trinity Crossing. Now again, it is just a small airport. It's just small aircraft coming out of there. It's not like it's a bunch of obnoxious plane noise, like as if you're living in Airdrie or something. I honestly don't know people live in Airdrie with those massive jets flying over every day. So the one in Lacombe, it's not a super busy airport, but it's definitely something to be aware of if, that kind of noise is something that's going to bother you. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you need any help making the movie or you have any questions, use this info on the screen right now. Give me a shout any way you'd like. Would love to hear from you. All right, guys, I'll see you next week.